Okay, so welcome to the Bigfoot Researchers Journal. We're right now having an encounter with an extremely large group of these creatures we've been studying. But at this distance, the untrained eye, typically from our research where we've had people in the field with us, can only pick up that there are trees and the light is shining on the branches. The light is shining on the branches. First of all, these are the critical observations of every single person that's come in the field with us, with the exception of my wife and I. And in the beginning, we had the exact same opinion that this is empty forest right in front of us, and it's heavily shaded, and in some places it appears to be thicker and darker than others, but you can see where it's well lit and there appears to be nothing there. And that's typically how conversations will go, unless I would suggest, well, I'm looking at a creature over there. You can see him, he's got white skin. See that white? That's not supposed to be there. Oh, well, it's a dead branch. And it's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and film it, because what I see is changing colors, and I see several of them. And the first one is real clear, and he's right there. And so I'm able to see this guy, and the camera I'm trying to set up so that I can get a shot of him. And we're 3/4 of the way in, and you still really can't tell that what you're seeing here is a group of these guys, and there's some big ones in here, and they're all over the ground, and they've got this white skin, and you can see parts of their fingertips and cheekbones and foreheads, and they have astounding bone structures that we're going to get into during this show. There's a creature right here, appears to be, it's just bush shining. No, there are creatures that fully understand they blend in with these trees, and they're using that against you. These are fingers, not the tips of saw palmettos. These are blades of grass down on the ground, and there's little trees you can see going through. But this is far more disturbing than you ever imagined. And he's got his fingers up, and you can see his forehead right here has these creases in it. And he's got a pointy nose like a goblin and 2 eyes right there. Yeah, that's the kind of creature we're dealing with. You can see those fingertips again, and they appear to be different color, right? Those are actually bright white, but the diffusion rates in this particular area, inside this tree line, if you look, the outside of this tree is white. His face is even with that, and he's revealing it. He's sticking his face outside the diffusion line. The diffusion line has all these other creatures changing colors. They're all inside that diffusion. They understand there's a line they can see that we can't. We call it shadow, but we have 3 cones, missing 99% of the light. See how that color green is on this thing's face with this other color too? It's like a brown. Everything around him is transmitting right onto his skin. You can see his eye there. He's looking at me. Looks like he's kind of pressed up against this tree that's right here. This is a very large individual. As we're going through this, you're going to get a real good look at, how he's just kind of like standing there. Right here, in particular, you can see where his head comes up. You get a little bit more of the head right there. There's going to be other ones in this too, but for right now, we got this really clear shot of this guy with his hand up to his face. You can see his fingers there. Both of his eyes are visible. You can see that. But what I want to point out is something that has really fascinated me since I started catching them on film clearer, and that's the creases in the forehead. There appear to be, in some of these individuals, some type of a nodule that's visible in their forehead. It almost gives the impression of this creature having 4 eyes instead of just 2. And you can see there are these little nodules that continuously, if you watch in the creases in his forehead, you'll see. As we go through this footage, you'll see, as the face becomes clearer in these shots, there's some kind of wrinkles in his forehead, and sometimes these wrinkles His head does appear to be a little bit higher than we thought, possibly. But you can see this is the nose, and it's like a troll, and he has these isosceles triangle-shaped eyes. This particular angle, we're getting more of a triangular look. I suspect if he was to turn his head this way, we would see the isosceles a little bit better. But we're getting straight on this one, and you can see it. The nose is interrupted here by that hand, and you can see there's a finger coming up. Now, the finger's up against the tree and still picking up color, but much lighter than before. Pushing up against that nostril, pushing it up. We're seeing the flexion here, right? We can see this. Moving forward, we can also see the color change. Up high, out of the diffusion, we've got a more natural coloration. We're seeing some of that gray and that white. Still a little beige there. Closer to the tree, we've got the finger coming off that wood color. And then down here, we've got diffusion broadcasting on its lower face. The whole creature is actually achromatic or bright whitish or light gray. A lot of the time, it's hard to see any of that because there'll be color washing across and that aberration blurs it. The cameras pick up the aberration a lot of time, and the software will read it as like a blur. And they're standing behind it, and you can see their symmetries. If he was to step forward, and I say this all the time, if he steps forward out of that diffusion line, you're going to see a bright white face. You can go back and watch videos and hear me saying those things. You can plainly see this creature. You even get a little bit of his lip right there, just a little bit coming through his hand because he's got his fingers up, right? Is this something else in here? We got branches. Yeah, you can. I'm just telling you, this is forehead stuff. This guy over here that we initially looked at and said there are other creatures present. This is how they do it. They get in these lines, and you can see his face is forward of the diffusion line, so brightly lit natural coloration is showing for our 3 cones. This is how we see it. Let's take a look a little further into the footage so you can see he's just there watching me. He's just right on the other side of the tree there watching me. A lot of great frames. He's obviously with his fingers up. And got a little highlight there. You can see the 2 creases I'm talking about. This is forehead. His eyes are under that. We got nose here. We got fingers up. You can see the nostril poking out over here. We got the eyes. Boom, boom. So we got this head in here. He's watching us. Got his fingers up. Moving through the frames here. And we're getting a real good detailed look at those creases in the forehead. And at times it appears you can see like a nodule will appear. It's almost like another eye. It's just weird, man. But he's right there watching, that's for sure. And I can see him over there. And at times you can see white skin or gray skin. And then at other times he's blending perfectly with like green. And it's exactly what's represented here in the footage. At times you can see him really good in both nostrils, you know. And again, he's got his finger up over there. But incredible, man. Just standing there, and it's like all quiet, and the birds are chirping, and this thing is there watching. And it's like, well, he's over there again, you know? It's like, you know, what do? You can see there's that kind of weird, it almost looks like an eye or something separate. This is the strange thing. These larger creatures have this. Sometimes I wonder if it's, you know, some kind of thermal adaptation. I know in the Miller document, A.H. Miller classified them as part reptilian with the Cebidae telidae or Cebidae telidae kind of classification there, and that whole phylum is of telidae or telidae is reptilian. It's like gecko kind of stuff, and so we wonder about these classifications. You know, what are these creatures combined with? You know, they've lived outside of human perspective for so long. And in that one day, I saw that one jump the trail, and I saw that. I was calling him an albino at the time, but I saw how he was changing green when he got near that palmetto that he pulled down, and the whole thing was disturbing for me and surreal. But you know, it was like when I told people about it, they're like, "Wow, you know, far out." I was like, "You're not getting it, are you? Like, this is like incredible. You don't understand. This is like, you know." And so like, I'll show you. So I went out and started really paying attention looking for what I saw, which was a primitive type of gigantic, muscular, man-like being. Caveman is what I was looking at, and it was enormous, and the muscles were incredible, and I sought to find that guy that was like alabaster, you know, he was like plaster, you know, like a statue mixed with purple veins, you know, it was nuts, you know, and this long hair. And so I consider myself lucky to have been able to chase that sighting, and, you know, through thorough examination, we were able to figure out, you know, what was really going on was diffusion in my encounter. I saw the diffusion washing across his face, and you can see here that creature changes color the whole time. You know, and when it's going real fast, man, you really can't tell that there's this hominoid over there watching you. You know, if he was to walk out, you'd see bright white marble colored skin with huge muscles and silver grayish shiny, you know, sparkly hair, and that's what you'd see in direct sunlight right here. But right here you're seeing him blending in with the diffusion line of the forest. Outside of these trees, the diffusion is cut. Direct sunlight reigns. Why do they hide in diffusion? Because they're walking blank canvases for all the light human beings cannot see, because they only have 3 cones and see less than 1% of all available light. That's why at night, these animals, we're walking along, we have no flashlights, and I get eye shine. Yes, that's because we think it's night. We can't see the light that's hitting the back of these nocturnal species lenses and then reflecting back out for us to see, and people start seeing it way up, and they're like, it's a Sasquatch. They got batteries in their head. I don't know, they're demons, man. It's like perfectly natural. It's just that you're blind and you don't know it. More to come.